recording. It is 4 o'clock, so we're going to get started. Hopefully we'll have some others join us. Hello, Betsy. Hello, Erica. Hello, Mike. How are you guys? Betsy, I left you a message today. I'm so excited to see you. Welcome, everyone, to our Northern Nevada Disaster Cycle Services Volunteer Opportunities and Updates meeting that we have weekly. This week, it's virtual only, but next week, we are going to be here in the Reno office in person. There's a lot happening next week on Tuesday, so I'm going to share that a little bit later with you. I'm bear.lewis, the Disaster Program Manager here in Northern Nevada, and as always, my contact information is included here in the agenda that will be sent out tomorrow to everyone with the video as well. So to start off with, I want to welcome the new volunteers that we have on board this week. Salli V in Fallon, Shasta G and Nicole B, both in Hawthorne, woohoo, because we need some coverage down there in Mineral County, and Mike Thorne here in Reno. And then just yesterday, but I have not had a chance to add her name. It will be officially added to next week's agenda, but I want to mention her, is Loretta, who is out in the Silver Springs area, where we also desperately need coverage for our disaster action team. So awesome. Welcome you guys to the team. We're excited to have you and support you in your Red Cross journey. I'm not sure if any of them were able to attend live, but hopefully they'll see this recording. I'm going to dig right into upcoming events and opportunities, which I used to tackle this part towards the end of the meeting, but I don't want to run out of time when we're talking about the opportunities that we have coming up. So the first thing that I'm doing each week is creating a link to a survey so you can easily see and sign up for any upcoming events that are happening in our chapter. Some of them may be disaster cycle services only related. Some of them just may be invitations to other things that are happening in Red Cross in our chapter, in our region with other lines of service. And some are national Red Cross opportunities. But this is also an opportunity for us to add other events that you, volunteers, would like to invite other Red Crossers to in your communities to support. So I'm not going to go through the survey line by line because we're going to talk about each of the items in our agenda. But if you want to sign up for anything, this is the easy way to do it. We'll also include the contact information of whoever is organizing the event in that survey. So you can easily reach out to that person if you have more questions, or if you click the option that says, maybe I'd like to attend this event, but I need more information, that will prompt me or the organizer to reach out to you and say, hey, this is what's going on. We'd love to have you if you're interested. So that's the first tool that you guys can start to see or start to expect to see each week. In a couple of days, there is a naval warfare and IHL melting ice and modern technology webinar that we can all take part in. And it's discussing global change and understanding the ocean's role in economic and security domains. So if you have any interest in this or interest in what our international law team does, this might be something you'd be interested in checking out. Again, it's in a couple of days at 9 a.m. Here's the link to go right on and register, and they will then send you the Teams link to join. So it's a virtual opportunity. On Saturday, we're going to be in Winnemucca in the holiday Christmas Parade of Lights. Elves on Parade is their theme this year. So if you feel like venturing out to Winnemucca, we're going to have the herb, and if there's enough volunteers, we'll be passing out our little Pocky snacks that have our recruitment cards attached in hopes that we can get more volunteers out in that area. So if you're interested in traveling out to Winnemucca for their holiday Christmas Parade of Lights, please do so. Any questions about either of those two opportunities that are coming up before I move forward? Okay. On the 11th, which is Monday, it's being hosted out of Utah. So it's a regional event. We're having a ham radio and disaster services technology information session. So if you're interested in ham radios, how those communications work when we may not have cell or electrical services available during disaster, that's what the ham radios are all about. So please check this out. They're also going to be talking about our disaster services technology information, which our disaster services technology team is the group that comes in and sets everything up that we might need technology-wise during a disaster, whether that be hotspots, cell phones, laptop computers, anything that we may use technology related. Our disaster services technology team makes sure that we have those resources and tools available to us. So if you're interested in supporting either the ham radio team or disaster services technology teams, this is a session for you to find out more. And please reach out to me if you have any questions about how that might look in Northern Nevada, either before or after you attend the session, and we can talk about it. And I can introduce you to our local ham radio teams here in Washoe County. Any questions on that? Okay. On Tuesday in the morning, this is actually at 9 a.m., so I don't know why it says 11 a.m., there is a local emergency planning committee meeting in Mineral County in Hawthorne. Jim Rich and I will be traveling down there. We'll be leaving the office around 6:30 in the morning. If you're interested in seeing what happens at a local emergency planning committee meeting, who the players are that are involved, talking about local emergency planning at a county level, if you're interested in government operations or community engagement, this is an opportunity for you to check out and see what the conversations look like and how we do that planning in each of our counties. So please reach out to Jim Rich or myself if you're interested in going, or respond to that survey, and we'll make sure that you jump in the car with us and ride along. We rode down there today. It gives us a great opportunity to visit with one another and talk about different engagement opportunities and planning throughout the chapter as well. Any questions on local emergency planning committee meetings or what's happening in Mineral County? All right. Also, on Tuesday at 3 p.m., we have two things happening here at the office. The first is disaster action team response fundamentals that Jim will be hosting in our training room. It's going to be a satellite session, so the training is actually being offered throughout the region, but in person at each of the offices if you'd like to attend in person, or virtually online if you would like to attend but cannot come into one of our office locations. This training is required for all new disaster action team responders. So if you need it, please try and attend either in person or online. Reach out to Jim Rich if you have any questions. You should have been emailed the registration link yesterday. But again, reach out or respond to that survey and we'll make sure you get all the details you need. The other thing that's happening on 3 p.m. on Tuesday is our bi-weekly preparedness work group meeting. So every second and fourth Tuesday of the month, we have our preparedness work group meeting where we talk about all of our preparedness activities. Our youth preparedness programs, Prepare with Pedro and the Pillowcase Project, as well as our community preparedness education programs. That would include our home fire campaign, our Be Red Cross Ready, our Ready rating for our commercial businesses, and our hands-only CPR, and most new addition is our wildfire preparedness education, which is intended for those folks who live in the urban wildland interface and may face approaching wildfires. So those are the different preparedness programs we talk about, when they're happening, who the presenters are going to be, who the support teams are going to be, if any resources or other materials are needed to support any of the preparedness presentations that we have coming up. Anyone is welcome to help support our preparedness team. So we'd love to have you on board if you're available and you'd like to attend. That will also be in person here in this technology room where I'm sitting right now, or in the main lobby area if we have more people than fit into the technology room. So please join us if you can. Just after that training and those meetings, we have this regular weekly meeting that will be in person. Also will be offered virtually for those who cannot attend in person. Right after the meeting, Randy Honeywell is going to be offering Stop the Bleed and Narcan training to anyone who wants it. That is in person only. So you would have to be here at the Reno chapter office if you want to take advantage of that training. It takes about 30 minutes. Also starting at 5 p.m. and then continuing after that training is our holiday gathering. And we're going to have a potluck and a cookie exchange. So if you are interested in attending, please bring a side dish or a snack or a dessert to share. The sign up for that is included in this survey. So if you click on this link and you go down to Tuesday, 12/12, our volunteer opportunities meeting is there. Here's the Stop the Bleed and Narcan training. And then right below that is our holiday potluck and cookie exchange. If you say, yes, I want to go, it's going to ask you, would you like to share a side dish, a salad, cookies? And then there's an option for a dozen extra cookies for the cookie exchange. So please feel free to bring something to share with the group so we can all break bread together and have a nice little gathering. Any questions on any of those things that we have coming up on Tuesday the 12th? Okay.
Busy day.
What's that?
Sounds like a really busy day.
It's going to be a really, really busy day. But it's going to be a fun day. And then on January 11th, we are having a volunteer services sponsored New Year's party. And Erica Smith, you're on the line and you have your hand raised. So go ahead.
Hey there. So when we went to schedule that party on the 11th, I guess there's a conflict with the main room. So we
Okay.
moved it to the 18th. So it'll be January 18th from 11 to 1. We're going to do some sort of lunch potluck kind of a deal. So move it on out to the 18th.
Done, done, done. And I'm still going to leave this since we're waiting for a few more details, but I will say, we know it's going to be a lunch potluck.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Well, we will look for more information as that date gets closer. And then hopefully we'll definitely have more events to add in between those. But that's kind of just to save the date. So everyone mark 1/18 as a wonderful day to have a volunteer services New Year's party lunch. We're looking forward to it. Any idea on what we're going to ask people to bring, Erica, or is it just going to be whatever they want?
I'm not sure that we're going to ask anybody to bring anything. I think volunteer services is working on being able to take care of the lunch. So don't quote me on that, but that's what I asked from our team. Because we asked so much of our volunteers, let's give back to them. So that was my ask. So as hopefully by next week we'll have the final answer on that.
Awesome.
And will that be in the chapter office in Reno?
Yes, Jean.
Okay.
Perfect. Good point. There we go. Awesome. Any other questions, or is there anything I forgot to add in our upcoming opportunities and events? Okay. Moving on. So I was mentioning to Jean and a couple of others, if you had joined the call at this time, that we've already had as many DAT responses this month in the first 5 days of December as we had all of the month of November. So far, we have responded to 3 disaster action team calls, 1 in Washoe, 1 in Carson City, and 1 in Mineral County. 6 cases have been opened. We've given out $2,680 so far this month to support those cases, and it supported 13 people. I want to thank the 6 responders who've gone on these calls. Mike Algier, Chris Butson, who were busy last month too. Carson City just in the last couple of months has had a few calls, which is a lot for them. Heidi Johnson and Jim Rich down in Hawthorne, and Mindy Sue and Sharie Reisinger in our Reno call. So thank you guys so much for responding. It's awesome to see that there's multiple responders out there and not just 1 or 2 responding to all the calls. Jim Rich did tell me today that our DAT schedule is 83% full in the Washoe Reno response area, which is incredible and better than any other chapter in the region. So I want to say thank you very much to our disaster action team responders who are signing up for shifts and going out and responding to those calls and supporting our clients, getting funds into their hands as quickly as possible so they can start moving on in their recovery as quickly as possible. We now have 6-hour shift opportunities available. I forgot to ask Jim if he thought that helped support the increase in percentage of our overall coverage. But I think it's a good opportunity for people to have more flexibility in signing up for shifts without having to commit to a full 12. Is there anybody on the meeting who can share feedback if they have any in regard to the 6-hour shifts? Do you like them better?
I like having the option.
Okay.
I do too.
Okay. Do you guys think you sign up for more or less shifts, or that doesn't really play into it? It just allows more flexibility for your scheduling.
For me, it's the latter. Just makes it easier to find times.
Perfect. And that's what we were hoping for, because that was some of the feedback we were getting from people. Even if we said, well, don't worry about it if you're not available for the full 12 hours, they just felt really hesitant to even sign up if they weren't available. So that's good feedback that we're going to continue to share, because this is kind of a trial run for a few months. But if we decide that we like it and we show the region that it will help increase our overall sign up for shifts, they'll keep it up. So I'm hoping that it works and it's something that can expand to the rest of the region, because I think other volunteers would like that flexibility as well. Again, you can sign up for shifts in RC Respond, or if it's easier, you can sign up using this survey link, and then we can add you into the shifts in the system later. So feel free to use either option. As always, part of our agenda is a link to our 2024 fiscal year disaster action team responses. I've added a little bit of information to it that I wanted to show to you guys, and that is that I now have a breakdown here at the top of the counties we've served, how many cases we've opened in each of those counties. This number looks a little off for some reason. I'll need to figure out what's up with that. The total dollars, and then the percentage of our overall resources that we've distributed, how those look in each of the counties. So if you live in one of these counties, or if you're having conversations with anyone in these counties, you can say, hey, we've responded. We've opened a number of cases in, I still got to fix that, in your county, and this is how many dollars that we've been able to distribute in your county based on that. The other column I may add, now that I look at this, is how many actual calls we've responded to as opposed to cases we've opened, because I think that might be useful information as well. We also have monthly totals. So how much we've distributed each month, how many cases have been opened, and how many people we've supported. So you can look at a monthly total or you can get an area total when you're having those conversations. And then this is also where we planned to start tracking, and we've tracked a few, and I'm going to add Chico and Jean to this one because they went out and they did door hanging in this neighborhood around 1935 Marlette Avenue, where we just had a fire the other day. So thank you guys for doing that. We're hoping that will drive people to call in and request smoke detectors. They may see a home that recently burned in their community. While it's fresh in their mind, we're hoping that will maybe give them cause to reach out to us. We had a similar conversation when we were in Mineral County today with their fire department, and they're going to actively work with us based on where they see calls like this one that they just had on J Street, and getting information out, and they're going to help us do those smoke detector installations as well. So thank you, Chico and Jean. I think this is a growing work group in our chapter that's just now grabbing foothold, grabbing traction. But I think it's a really great way for us to support our communities and to give our volunteers opportunities.
I tried that the last time and it didn't work.
In their communities locally when their fire occurs. Hello, Leslie Hall. How are you, ma'am? Nice to have you. And Barry, you joined us. Oh, a lot more people have joined us. Hello, everyone. Thank you for jumping on. Randy, I see that you're on the call. Do you want to talk a little bit about your upcoming Stop the Bleed in Narcan training?
Where is it?
Other than what you said, you just got to be in person. You're not going to be able to use the tourniquets unless you've had that training. And then as far as the naloxone, everyone will go home with some after you go through the training. And we have opioid overdose boxes now at the office, and we will take those to when we open up shelters. And so it's really important to have people know how to utilize it, because you don't have to be a healthcare provider to use Narcan or to administer it.
Does everyone on the call know what Narcan is and when that's used and why it's essential for us to have it available in our shelters?
No.
Okay. So Randy, would you mind just giving a little bit of background on Narcan in general and what it's used for and how easy it is to use and to support people who need it?
Sure. I don't want to spoil, you got to come to the training, but it's used for opioid overdoses. And so it's just a really prominent thing in our community. We have a lot of people that we respond to, whether it's prescription or not opioids they're using. And it's just a crisis. I call it a pandemic going on throughout our nation right now. And so it's a prescription drug, but they've opened it up to something you can buy over the counter, but there's a lot of places that support it and you can get it free. And so what it does is when people overdose, they go into respiratory arrest.
Where is it so I can make it louder?
Wake them up by giving them Narcan.
Thank you. Barry, you have your hand up, sir.
Yes. Can anybody go to this training in Carson just last month, the day before Thanksgiving? One of the people at our church had a son die from a fentanyl overdose in their home. And I know there's a lot of concern, and that was actually in Carson. So there's a lot of concern about it right now in the area.
And that's the whole idea behind this training. It's that if those folks had the Narcan in their home, they may have been able to help their son. Because it's pretty easy to administer, and I won't go into more detail about that because we do want everybody to come to the training. Randy, is it just Red Cross people that are welcome at the training, or could we invite other community members?
That's really up to you. I only had limited supplies because I was only planning on Red Cross, but I'm also a huge advocate of getting it out to everyone. So that's a decision you can make. I just need to know numbers so everyone walks away with their own Narcan.
Okay. So I would say for this, since this training is just a week away, let's keep it to Red Crossers and to maybe our local. We may have invited a couple of other community partners. But if we see that there's an interest and there's a way that we can do community outreach through this type of training, please let me know. This is something that we could incorporate with some of our other preparedness training. It's not an official Red Cross program. We don't get credit for anything like that, but it does give us an opportunity to really support our communities where there is a big need right now. So I'm willing to help facilitate those types of meetings or gatherings. Barry, if there's an opportunity at your church to do a presentation or another area in Carson City, I think that certainly can be arranged. Any other?
Okay, that sounds good. I'll see. I can always see how many people are interested, and so it's that, and also, gosh, the Salvation Army community in Carson, and we have a Nights Off the Street program as well that could probably use that training. That's for the homeless people getting off the street so they don't freeze in Carson.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of opportunities, and it's a passion of Randy's. So I think if we work together, and Randy, hopefully I'm not offering too much, but that we can help facilitate some of those things and get the word out. Because I think the more that have this knowledge and that have the medicine on hand, the more people can be saved. Would you agree, Randy, or did I overcommit?
No, I agree, and I'm happy to come to Carson. If you're going to be there at the meeting on the 12th, just connect with me or get my email address and phone number from Sharie, and let's talk privately offline.
Awesome. And then Barry, I'm also needing to connect with you because you offered to support with our feeding efforts and connecting with feeding partners, which is awesome. Rick Yatuma, he has also offered to help support that. He is going to be gone until the end of the month. He's out of town, but I thought once the new year rolls around, the three of us and whoever else wants to join in those efforts can get a meeting on the books. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds good.
Cool.
And I should be there. Yeah, I should be there on the 12th for the training. So, and I think Jerry's going to come too.
Awesome. I love it. Very cool. Okay, so we kind of segued away from our agenda for a little bit, but I was happy to do that when I saw Randy join the call because I think, yeah, it's such an important effort and it's impacting more and more families and communities as this opioid pandemic crisis, whatever you want to call it, continues to just be so dominant for all of the different reasons. So thank you for that, Randy. Thank you for making that happen. I do not have our latest home fire campaign installation numbers for this month, so I'm not going to talk about that. And I didn't have an opportunity to add our birthdays for this week and last week. So next week, we're going to recognize all of our birthdays for the last week of November and the first 2 weeks of December. I'm so sorry, you guys, I didn't get an opportunity to get those added. Some things that have happened since our last meeting. On Thursday, on November 30th, we were out in Sun Valley, which is one of our Dew communities, doing outreach with Truckee Meadows Fire. And what that looked like is that Chico and Jean Held and Cass Bonfiglio and Tiandra and myself, we met at the Truckee Meadows Fire Station, number 45, out there in Sun Valley. They did a really cool fire extinguisher demonstration that they televised. So it was on, I think, all of the news stations, and gave us an opportunity to talk about the dangers of home fires, the importance of preparing your family if you should have a home fire. And then we hung a bunch of door hangers in the Sun Mesa Park neighborhood, and then went into even another neighborhood that I cannot remember the name of off the top of my head. But we were able to hit several hundred homes. I don't know, I don't have the exact number because we had teams all over the areas, but we covered most of the streets that we had mapped out. And I'm going to pick on Jean and Chico to share a little bit about that experience, if you guys don't mind. Jean or Chico, would one of you mind coming off mute and sharing?
Hang on, Chico's coming.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Nope.
I can't find my mute. There it is.
Okay, that's it.
It's not going away.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Gene and I put out about 100, and I think the firefighters were much faster than we were. So there were, 5 teams? So maybe hit 500 homes. It was interesting looking at the display of the fire extinguisher. The only thing that was disappointing is that when it showed up on the news on Channel 4, is they neglected to mention the fire alarm, the free smoke alarms.
What?
Yeah, they did not mention free smoke alarms. They just said the Red Cross can help you with your fire alarm or your smoke alarms.
And they didn't publish the phone number to call?
Nope.
Ah, stinker. Well, that's a bummer. Did anyone else get to see any of the news segments? I was not able to view any of them. Because we had 3 news stations there, right? Didn't we have Channel 2, Channel 4, and another one? Channel 8?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what they told us.
Huh. Well, I might have to do a Google search and see if I can find more. But yeah, I would say we hit at least 500 homes, because I think I did at least 100 homes as well. And then there were at least 3 to 4 teams of firefighters out, and they were much quicker. They're pretty fit fellas, as they should be. But thank you guys so much for going out. I'm hoping that we'll have more of those opportunities in our Dew communities, but also our other communities. So if you have a relationship with your local fire department, and this is something that you think they would want to do with us, it's a really fun event to get out. It only took a couple of hours to do that many homes with that many people. And that included the press conference that they did ahead of time. So really fun, cool opportunity if you know of other fire departments or other communities that might be interested in doing that, or if you're interested in joining us in the next one, because I'm going to start reaching out to each of our fire departments and asking them if this is something that they would support and want to do in the areas they cover, especially in our Dew communities, which is that whole North Valleys area in Washoe County, and then Fallon and the surrounding areas in Churchill County. If you guys want more information on what it means when I say Dew community, please reach out to me. We might have a meeting that's focused fully on our Dew communities and why we're doing extra focus and effort in those communities as opposed to some of our other areas of Northern Nevada. It's not that we don't want to take care of response and disaster action team and everything else in all of our areas and communities in Northern Nevada. But our do communities are areas that we've identified as having more vulnerable populations, especially when it comes to disaster preparedness, response, and recovery. So it's typically areas that are maybe socioeconomically challenged, areas that may have populations of individuals with a lot of access and functional needs, like retirement communities or communities with a lot of children with working parents. So different factors play into why we've chosen the communities we've chosen. But please reach out to me if you have any questions about it, because the main thing is I don't want people to feel like we're only focusing on those communities. That's not the case. We're focusing on all of Northern Nevada and all of our communities within them, with special attention on areas that we've identified as having more vulnerabilities and may need more support than the other communities throughout Northern Nevada. So any questions on that without going too much into the weeds? Okay. On Saturday, Jim, Rich, and I attended the Sparks Hometown Christmas Parade, and we rolled in the herb and waved at everyone in Sparks, and it was super fun. Unfortunately, we did not have enough volunteers attend to pass out our Pockies with our recruitment cards, but we're hoping to do that this weekend in Winnemucca if you're available. And we're definitely going to be at that Sparks Hometown Christmas Parade next year, hopefully with a little bit more planning time than we had this year. This year, we weren't sure if we were going to get in until a couple of weeks before the actual parade. So it definitely impacted our planning and our attendance. So next year, we're hoping to get a better jump on that. Because it's a super fun parade and so many people come out for it. It's incredible how many people come and like are just line the streets. I don't know how many people deep. So thank you, Jim, Rich. It was a super fun event for the two of us. And we hope to see more folks next year. Today, Jim, Rich, and I, we've spent a lot of time together this week. We were in Hawthorne in Mineral County. They had their very first sheltering planning meeting, which honestly turned into more of a COAD meeting. And for those of you not familiar with the term COAD, that's Community Organizations Active in Disaster. So it was a roundtable of faith-based organizations, government organizations, and private industry talking about how, as a community here in Hawthorne, can we support any type of disaster that may impact Mineral County? What partners are available? Who has what resources? And it was just the first of many meetings, but they're going to have them quarterly going forward. If you guys have any interest in seeing what it looks like when a COAD or community organization active in disaster group forms, how they come together to identify the needs and delegate the response to those needs and how that planning looks, please let Jim Rich or I know, because there's opportunities in Mineral County, but there's also other opportunities throughout our counties in Northern Nevada who are all working on this same effort. Some of them call it COADs, some of them call them VOADs, which are volunteer organizations active in disaster, and that's more of a formal group. But all communities should have some sort of group or committee where they come together and talk about these things. So please let me know if you have any interest in that at all and how that looks or want to support in those efforts. Does anyone have any questions about sheltering planning meetings or COADs or VOADs? Okay. Gene Health does an amazing job adding things to our calendar. And I like talking about different things that we have coming up. So if there is an event that you would like added to our calendar or shared at this meeting, please email Gene and myself the details, like who is hosting, who is invited, what support you might need, where the event is located, when the event is located, and any contact information, we'd be happy to talk about it and add it to the calendar so other volunteers know about the opportunities. It might be disaster related. It might be related to another line of service, or it might just be a community event where Red Cross presence would be appreciated. So please let us know if there's anything like that that you would like us to talk about or add or participate in. Any questions about our calendar or this agenda that we go over each week? All right. I touched on this, and we did talk about this a couple meetings ago, which is some team members that we need to support is for our feeding partner outreach. It could be restaurants, it could be catering companies, it could be other nonprofit organizations. It's any partner that might be able to support in feeding efforts if we have a disaster response, for sheltering, for an evacuation center, anything that might require feeding of people. It could even be at times a partner that might be able to support us with canteening. So if we want to go out and support a disaster response effort that's going on and we want to provide canteening, snacks, food, different things like that to our first responders, feeding partners can come in and support with those efforts so we don't have to go spend the donor dollar on food if they're willing to donate it. So if you're interested in participating in that outreach, Barry, who's on the meeting today, and Rick Yatuma, they've both offered to help get the process started. And we're going to have our first meeting after Christmas when Rick returns from his vacation, probably after the new year. But again, this is something that everyone can participate in. Everyone dines at restaurants, everyone goes out. So it might be a matter of just asking those businesses that you're already a patron at, how they're willing to support, if they're willing to support. If you're interested in helping that team, please let me know and I'll make sure you're invited to that first meeting we have. Does anyone have any questions about our feeding efforts or what we're trying to accomplish with that outreach?
Hey, Sharie, sign me up for that team. I'll help.
All right. Yeah, and I think that could work awesome with recruitment as well. Because maybe there's some volunteers that work at those places that would want to help out.
No.
For deployment opportunities, you guys, and I'm going to add your name right up here, Erica, before I forget. There haven't been many. We're pretty much down to disaster mental health services needs in Maui. That's all that's been showing up on the door, which is can't remember what the acronym stands for, but it's basically where I look to see what positions need to be filled throughout the nation, what they're recruiting for. So if you happen to be a disaster mental health volunteer and you're interested in going to Hawaii, please let me know. Everyone else, thankfully, there are no disasters requiring our assistance at this moment. Does anyone have any questions about deployment or deployment opportunities or how that process works? Okay. Each week, we have a line of service meeting with our executive director, Tiandra Rushing. Erica is there representing volunteer services and our recruitment efforts. But it's a time, and our communications team, our service to armed forces team is there. But it's also a meeting where we can ask or generate ideas or suggestions that we want to make to our board or requests we want to make to our board for their support. Does anyone on this call right now have any requests or ideas or suggestions for requests from our board that we could ask for their support or assistance? Some of the things that I've requested in the recent past are for their participation in our events. So I share this agenda each week with them, with Tiandra, so she can share it with them in hopes that maybe we'll see some of them more frequently and get to know our board members a little bit better. Another ask that I've made is for their support in reaching out to partners to help generate requests for presentations for our community preparedness education programs. Jean Held, you have your hand up, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm not even sure I know who's on the board. So it would be delightful to meet them or interact with them, even virtually.
Yeah, and I think that's a really great idea, Jean. And I'm going to invite them personally. I'm going to make sure the invite for this meeting goes out to them next week. It'd be wonderful if they could come even to our gathering after the meeting if they weren't available to attend the meeting, just to get to know everyone. So I'll make sure that invitation is extended out to them. And based on the participation, if many of them aren't available with the short notice, we'll see if we can set up a meeting just specifically focused on our board and when they might be able to attend. I saw a hand flash for a second, but then it went away.
Are they invited to the holiday party?
Anyone have any other questions or suggestions?
Did you hear the question that was asked?
No.
Somebody was saying, are they invited to the holiday party? I think you actually answered that.
Okay. Yeah. And so I'm going to, they should have been already, but I'm going to make sure they each get a personal invitation from me. Tomorrow is when I'll be able to send it out. So they'll get a little bit less than a week's notice. But I think that's an excellent suggestion. Any others, you guys? Another thing I've asked for their support is with Go Kit items. So when we do our preparedness program or presentations, especially at the schools in the more socioeconomically challenged areas, we can send the kids home with a partial Go Kit or one or two items that we're recommending. Full Go Kits would be awesome, but I don't know, that would be quite a hefty expense. But that's something that I've asked for their support with. Leslie Hall, did you have a suggestion? You came off mute for a second.
No, I didn't. No. Oh, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I think that the Go Kits is a really great idea, and I have been very laxed on my job here, so I've got to get busy and maybe get more involved in that part of the presentations. There.
Well, we are going to have our preparedness work group meeting on Tuesday, and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
But you have not been slacking on your job. You've been a little bit under the weather and super busy with the holidays and everything you have going on. So you give yourself a break, Leslie Hall. You've been doing amazing, and I'm so grateful for all of your efforts.
Thank you, Bear. Thank you so much.
Of course. And for those of you on the line who don't know, Leslie Hall is our youth preparedness presentation coordinator. So she works really hard coordinating with our schools and our presenters and our other youth group or organizations with amazing support from Betsy and the rest of the team to get these on the calendar and make these presentations happen so that we can offer the home fire safety and just honestly disaster preparation education to all of our little ones who are kindergarten age and up. So thank you, Leslie. You do a remarkable job.
Well, thanks. And also, if any of you know of any schools that you think we should be contacting, please let me know.
Yeah, and that's another ask we can make of our board as well, is for them to do outreach in their communities to the schools, school districts that they might be involved with. So great suggestion, okay. Leslie Hall.
Good.
Any Any other ways that we can ask for our board to be engaged, or suggestions of ways that they might be able to support us? Okay. Well, we're getting close to the end of our meeting. This is a list of our upcoming meetings that are in person. So next week, here, Reno chapter office, followed by a winter holiday party and the Stop the Bleed in Narcan training. In January, I'm still looking for a location, but I would love to have our meeting down in the Gardnerville-Minden area, just because we haven't been down in that area in about a year. So if you know of any locations that might work, we usually have about 10 people in attendance at most in our locations that are outside of the Reno chapter office. But if you know of any locations down there that would work, please let me know. I'd love to connect with them and find a spot. Budget for a location is $0. So we need a space that people would be willing to donate to us, or possibly a restaurant if we can, purchase food there for a relatively low cost, like pizza or something like that. So if you guys have any locations in mind, please let me know.
Hey, Sharie,
yeah.
my wife and I, we wouldn't mind doing it. We could just do it at our house. Or,
really?
Yeah, sure.
That
10
would be
people.
awesome, Barry. Thank you so much.
We have like 20 people over here on a fairly regular basis, so.
Well, it is
10
a
would be
done
easy.
deal.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Barry. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is done then. Checked off the list. Thank you, Barry. And honestly, that might be a great time for us to have our feeding meeting too. Maybe we'll have it just before or just after.
Okay, sounds good.
Is there anything else, any other questions anyone has on the line about what's happening with Red Cross, what's happening in disaster cycle services, our region? Any questions at all about what we're doing? This is our opportunity to just have an open discussion. All right. Well, I already talked a little bit about our due communities, and we're not going to go more into the weeds on that until a future meeting. So with that, that's all I have this week. You guys have a wonderful week, and I hope to see you all in person next week in the Reno chapter office for our holiday gathering if you're not able to attend one of our events this week. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Take care.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Sharie.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.